Hi, Marco here, and welcome to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So we've just finished inspecting this card. Unfortunately, we're forced to choose a person, but I have a healthy suspicion that Satoru Hasanaga is of a certain person that must be examined carefully. And it indeed showed in this. Um, this is the layout of the restaurant, yeah. So this initially presented to us, but he said before it was a business card, so I was struck by that statement. So I immediately examined this piece of evidence, and it indeed shows his name and his true job title, which is a chief inspector, primary criminal investigator, chief inspector. So let's see the statement. Hosonaga-san, the waiter who took the stand earlier. Poppycock. What possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that even head waiter could not possibly have that level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. If that is the man truly were a waiter. What? If he truly were? Come, Rinasuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hosonaga-san's real identity as proven by this evidence. So yeah, we can examine again, but later. Let's present this business card. The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question. I agree it shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can conclude anything. Sorry, Your Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon? Or perhaps I should just have said the front? Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. That's where the telling details is. My God. Okay. Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Hosonaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession. His true profession. The waiter's profession? But that's surely... Good gracious. That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? You're maybe an incompetent prosecution? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power. Absolute power as far as regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Hold it. Who said hold it? Oh, it's Hosonaga-san. Inspector Hosonaga! Oh, I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Well, is there a problem? And the plan to the court officer at once. Of course, here you are. That's why he behaved in such a way. Yeah, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It is my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake. So you mean to say you really are a detective? But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Of course, I was working undercover. Undercover. Sorry, that the game skipped it naturally. Yes, there have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga, but you will elaborate on the one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table? That is indeed true. Clearly, you would also have been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable. As I suspected. Bang. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, a gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim was at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an English woman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Oh, special orders from somewhere higher up. You mean to say, remove the English woman from the scene at once. It was made clear that the English woman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this English woman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. Ooh, this person is not to be touched. The Empire views the differently in terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman had been murdered on our soil. To name an English woman as the primary suspect? Well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right. One possibility does spring to mind. Do you mean Kazuma? Yume University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain, and I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory, is a young English woman. What? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean, when I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. And the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Giselle Brett. She is indeed a foreign student studying at the research laboratory of Yume University's medical faculty. What is happening here? Ooh, more development. I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to your excellency to decide how to deal with this situation. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise, namely that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point. But Your Excellency, that would be missing the noon deadline of the ruling in order to send a telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions. Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes, sir. You will locate this Giselle Britt and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency. But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem. Hold on. Nothing will get in my way. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student Giselle Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Yes. Your Excellency. Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. Okay. That's the first half. To be continued. Yep, let's save it. So interestingly enough, there are a lot of things that have happened in that 2 hours 38 minutes. It's like 22nd of November, 11:38 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendants Antechamber 5. So just to get back, let's just check the records again. Let's examine. I'm 000900 Imperial. The symbol of Yume University. Every student wears this pin with pride. It's funny, but most emblems seem to be either round or rectangular. I like this spike design even though it doesn't really make sense. Although it does cause problems. Lots of students end up cutting their finger on their badges. Perhaps it was the idea of one of the founders. A sharp pin for a sharp mind or something. Okay. I think we've reviewed all of the evidence and information that we have all gathered thus far. Excellent work, Rinosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. Mom's spaghetti. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it. It's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss Giselle Brett, a student from Great Britain. Is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I am sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself, then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table. I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor, and just after I bent down and picked it up, bang. Sick as you. I didn't have a time to think about where the sound of that gunshot wound had come from. The waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shot in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. It's Mikotoba? Professor Mikotoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy, our justice system even more so, which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest youngsters overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that we have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or not, or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crises of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma? Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. Oh, they're looking at me. To me? Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Yeah, come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning. Yeah, I think, yeah, what is his connection with this case? There's nothing yet to point out. Besides Giselle Brett being a student at the medicine laboratory at the Yume University, and Mikotoba is a professor at forensic medicine. If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA, and it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then, I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Sama? Wow. Defendant Naruhodo, court recess is over. Please make your back inside the court. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow before those old fossils know what's hit them. Ooh, we're in. Kazuma? What? Thank you, really. What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly sure I'd already have been found guilty by now. Look, I have a faith in you. As a lawyer and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. Oh, they're really the bestest of friends out there. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'll say the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to the one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. Fine. Oops, sorry. 22nd November, 12:09 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom number 2. We're back. The court hereby resumes the trial of Rinosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Auchi, have you managed to subpoena the witness? Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government. Ugh, sorry. Let the government scrutinize, that's their job. It's nothing to worry about. It's highly unlikely that the good relations we've forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down and our nation founders? Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. Yeah, we have nothing to worry about, Rinosuke. What do you mean? A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan? Or of England? Shut up, you jumped up rookie boy. You and your friend knows nothing. Nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with a great world power, we become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student. And one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there's one thing I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Wow. Well said. Well said. Yeah, that's what I said, Inosuke. Despite the wide-eyed look of terror. You little brats. Thank you, Counsel. This court is a pinnacle of our nation's justice system, and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett. Your Excellency. Fancy hat. Swan hat. Ooh, fancy music as well. Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine, gentle woman to Japan, and from such a distant land. Tea! Someone bring English tea! In England, no discussions take place without tea. Is that true? No idea. So, ahem. Could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course. My name is Satoru Hosanaga. I have been working undercover as a head waiter at La Carnival. But my yes, we all know about you already. Inspector Hosanaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh yes, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description of this amazing sight was simply a woman? Sorry, Rinosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are solely lacking. Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please. Ooh, a mystery. I can't really read that. Is certainly gibberish to them. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but what? So blah 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 blah. Yeah, blah blah blah. Yeah, blah blah blah. The lady's surname is Jacil Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student, currently enrolled in UMay University's medical faculty. Oh my! What a rare treat to hear the tones of the delightful language of the British Empire. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird's song. As far as I can tell, the detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. You obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Your English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Renosuke. The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court had been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. She says yes. Oh, wow, that's a lengthy statement. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting. Were you the one who engineered her escape? I was just following special orders from the bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? Blah 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 blah. Apparently, it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say... Yes. It would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Ooh. Let's see if it's really a witness that saw the crime in full. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Well, that's the logical conclusion there. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Witness testimony. Frightening and sorrowful sight. Blah, 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 blah. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. Blah, 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 blah. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. Okay. This is a condemning, sir. No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all.
Objection!
Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard, and look at this Snow White angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe. Ugh. You're still making the same mistakes, Renosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. A lesson you need to learn. Ugh, but she's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before and reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. Interesting. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so, on the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit that she is today. As you can see, there is nowhere but her person where she could conceal a firearm. I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Unless and until the precise location where the witness is to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide the gun. Well, there are a lot of nooks and crannies in that outfit, but okay. Those are the witness's own words on that matter. Ugh, this is ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Oh, that's the conduct of unbecoming. Excuse me. Don't think about doing anything rash, Renosuke. But I didn't fire a gun. I picked up. There must have been another gun in there that day. You're right about that, which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. Where could she have hidden it? Oh, that smirk. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Oh yes, Your Excellency. Ooh, frightening and sorrowful sight. Okay, I will end this episode here. Just to recap, we have proven that there is a gentlewoman present at the scene of the crime. It was indeed Chief Inspector Hosonaga who hid that fact and silenced our two witnesses before. But now we revealed this witness upon us. So I think I'm with Kazuma here, which is we need to find where she could have hidden the firearm, because I think she is the culprit in this case, because the bureau went into lengths into hiding her presence in that crime scene. So let's see. But for now, thank you everyone for watching this episode, and see you next time. Bye.